And being a millennial, we're like very impatient. We want what we want, and sometimes, we struggle with instant gratification. So, because this was the delayed gratification, I was saving for the long term because I knew that this was important. Hello guys, my name is Aji. Welcome to Figure It Out with Aji, a place where you're empowered to figure out your money, your career, your personal growth, and live life on your own terms. I'll be sharing with you guys the 7 tips that I implemented to save for a 6 months emergency fund. So let's get into it. What is an emergency fund? An emergency fund is money that you have saved up in the case of emergency only. The key word here is only for an emergency. Tip number 1 is you gotta have a what and why. The reason why I wanted to have an emergency fund is I wanted to provide insurance for myself for at least 6 months. If something happened, or if I lost my job, or something happened that I needed money, I wanted to make sure that I was in a place where I could take care of it financially. Because I don't want to be in a predicament whereby I have to go into debt again, because I don't have money saved to take care of things that need to be taken care of. And the what in this case is going to be what your emergency fund is going to amount to. Would it be 3 months or 6 months? I chose the 6 months emergency fund because it was a safety net that I was comfortable with. And 2, I don't have a spouse to support me. For example, if I lost my job, or maybe I need a medical procedure or anything like that, God forbid, but life happens. So I wanted to make sure that I could take care of that on my own. Things happen, they're out of your control, so you want to be prepared for it. So I'm a planner, so I just decided to do the 6 months emergency fund. So the 6 months emergency fund entail your monthly expenses times 6 months, and the total of that is your emergency fund for 6 months. Tip number 2 that I did was I opened a separate savings account from my main account. The reason being is I know that I'm a spender. If I don't have a mechanism in place to curtail that habit, it was not gonna be good. So I made sure that I had a different savings account. I make sure that every time I get paid, I transfer the money to the savings account. It was separation of church and state. I was not playing. I put this system in place. It was a good system that worked for me. Another thing that you could do is you can directly transfer that amount to your savings account when you open it, so that you don't have to worry about it. But I just decided to get the money into my accounts and then transfer it. Tip number 3 is find an accountability partner. This is crucial. I made sure that I have someone to hold me accountable, which was one of my friends, a really good friend of mine. The reason why I chose to have an accountability partner is studies have shown that if you tell people your goals, you're more likely to do it because you feel obligated to do it. So I used that trick. She was my accountability partner, and we motivated each other in terms of with our financial goals. We talked about our goals. Often you need an accountability partner because you need someone to push you when you don't have the energy. Life happens, things happen, but if you can have someone that supports you and encourages you and keeps you engaged, I think it's a win-win for everyone. So your accountability partner could be anyone. It could be your friend, it could be your family. If you have a spouse, which is great, that could be your accountability partner as well. Tip number 4 is lower your expenses or find a side hustle or do both. So I did both. When I finished paying off my debt, I transitioned to saving for an emergency fund. So I went back and looked at my budget and looked at my bills. Looking at the bills, I found opportunities to save or reduce my bills. For example, my insurance, I looked at the bill and I realized that with the insurance that I have, if I paid monthly, they charge me an extra $5. So what I did in that case is I saved and I paid upfront of 6 months insurance so that one, I don't have to pay that extra $5 every month. the insurance is now fully paid, and that is something that I don't have to worry about, and I can put whatever is coming in into my savings. Another thing that helped me is I didn't have a car note, which is a blessing, because like I already paid that off on my debt. So that was like an extra $200 that was coming in, and then I could put that into my savings account. I also had an opportunity to do a side job for 2 months, and which brought in some amount of money, and that also helped bump up my savings as well. So look into opportunities, look into side hustles, and find something to do, or find a service that have maybe someone may need and you can provide for them, and they can pay you for that. The fifth thing that I did is I included my emergency fund goal into my budget. I had a timeline to save 6 months of emergency within a year. So I made sure that every month when I budgeted, I included my saving goals for that month into the budget, which also adds on to 1 year timeline. For me, example, when I paid off my debt earlier that I talked on my previous video, I will put the link somewhere here and you guys can go check it out. I did not stop the momentum. The money that I was sending to the creditors and all those other people, that was now coming back to me. So I took that money, extra money, and put it in my savings account. I made sure that like I stuck to my budget, because one thing about budgeting and one thing about money just has a way of leaving your account when it's not accounted for. For some reason, it's like they have little legs and you don't know where they end up being. So you have to really make sure that you're accounting for everything and you're saving for your money, which I did. I also created a timeline for saving money within a year. So that also just helps me measure and compare and see how far I am going with my savings, and check out my trajectory, whether I'm behind schedule or ahead of schedule. So the sixth thing that I did was I hid my money. Yes, I hid my money from me. The reason being is I know I'm a spender. I had to put in a system in place to make sure that I do not spend my money. So how I did that was, there's this feature in my bank whereby you can hide your account. I don't have to worry about it if I know that, if I don't see it every day, because it's tempting, you know, like you save that amount of money and you're looking at it and suddenly you have something you want to buy. Maybe there was a new shoe that came out and you suddenly have the desire to go buy something when it's not necessary. So I hide my money from it, because just to prevent me from self-sabotaging myself. After building the savings, I didn't want to make it easy for that money to be accessible to me. Another thing that you could do is you can have your bank require you to be physically present to withdraw from your account. The harder you make it to get to that money, the less likely you get to spend. The last tip that I did was I rewarded myself. So what I mean by this is, every time that I save money monthly and I meet my goal for that month, I rewarded myself. I bought myself something that I wanted. And what that means is, it's not like, oh, I bought myself a Chanel bag or something. I made sure I had a limit. I had a $50 limit. You know, like I had a $50 limit. I could spend it on ramen. I love ramen. Who doesn't? Anyway, that's not the point. But the point is, you're rewarding yourself. So I was providing incentive for myself to continue with the journey and like encourage me to keep going. Because as humans, we like incentives. And being a millennial, we're like very impatient. We want what we want. And sometimes, you know, we struggle with instant gratification. So because this was the delayed gratification, I was saving for the long term, because I knew that this was important. I mean, having an emergency fund wasn't big deal to me, because that is something that I have never in my life even imagined on having until I became aware of it. I was living hand to mouth for so long that it felt like the norm to me. So, but having an emergency fund is a game changer. You're just able to sleep better at night. I don't know about y'all, but I'm just able to sleep better at night knowing that if something happens to me or my family, I don't have to go into debt again because of an emergency. So I will encourage you to look into starting your own emergency fund, because you never know, like life happens, nothing is certain in this life. Emergencies happen which are out of our control, but if we have the financial means to take care of situations without going into debt or like being in a financial predicament, it's a win. So I implore you guys to try these tips and let me know what you think. Comment down below on which tip you find the most helpful, and also let me know what stage you are in terms of your saving goals. I will also have a blog post up talking more in detail about my savings journey. It will be on my blog, Figure It Out with Ajit.com. You can go check that out and help us out. Also, I post videos every Thursday. Turn on those notification buttons so that you get alerted every time I upload a video. Do like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal. That lets me know whether you like this video and also helps me with the algorithm. Until then, I will see you when I see you.